The Department of Correctional Services says former President Jacob Zuma will undergo physical, mental and health checks to determine his prisoner category. Now, in the early hours of this morning, the department confirmed that Zuma was taken into the escort prison in KwaZulu-Natal to begin serving his 15-month jail term for contempt of court. For the latest on these developments, we are joined now by the Correctional Services spokesperson, Singabakho Nxumalo, who joins us from Durban on the line. Mr. Nxumalo, thank you very much for your time. Just explain to us briefly where the former president was kept overnight.
Very good morning and thank you for having us. As you will know, due to COVID-19, all newly admitted inmates must be isolated for at least a period of 14 days before moving them to the general inmate population section. So the same applied to Mr. Jacob Zuma. He was admitted in the early hours, just after 1 a.m. He's currently undergoing assessment as per our procedures. So that should take a matter of few days. Then thereafter, we will then craft a way forward in terms of the appropriate facility to house him, and also the conditions which will apply to someone of his category, because he's yet to be classified.
The specific section of the facility, Mr. Nxumalo, are you able to tell us exactly where the former president was kept?
We have an isolation section there at Escort. All our facilities have isolation sections. That's where we keep newly admitted inmates.
All right. You bring up the issue of COVID-19. The former president telling journalists on Sunday night, last Sunday night that is, that he had not been vaccinated as yet. Could you possibly prioritize that? Is that something that is up to him, of course? At the end of the day, bodily integrity is just that. It's up to the former president to want to be vaccinated. By now, the understanding would have been that he would have been vaccinated, given that he falls in the category of the 60 and above years. So is that something that you probably intend to do, or is this a personal decision that will have to be taken by him?
Yeah, it signifies the importance of the assessment, because out of that assessment, when you talk about when dealing with the healthcare related matters, then that's when that issue will come up. Then our healthcare practitioners will then have to explain to him the issue of vaccination, but then he will then have to decide whether he will want to take it or not. At the end of the day, it's about an individual deciding. But as correctional services, we need to make it a point that, we do inform all inmates of what is available, what they can do, and what they cannot do. And we need to respect their rights in that respect.
Yeah. Mr. Nxumalo, yes, we are talking about an inmate, but he is no ordinary inmate. He's the former president. The understanding is that the privileges or the benefits that come with being a former president, those are still intact. How is the situation or the issue of the security personnel who ought to be around him at all times being handled in a prison setting?
We are a security department. So then what happens in that case is that a person must be handed over to us. Then the mandate for us is very clear. We need to keep inmates in a safe and secure custody. So now that responsibility will fall on us. So should anything happen to any of our inmates, then we become responsible up until such time that the person has served, what is to remain of that particular sentence. So for now, we are responsible, but if there are other matters where perhaps we may need to consult maybe with his private doctor or other specialists who may have dealt with him for other matters, we are at liberty to do that. But all that remains cardinally that we have to account for anything that happens to him.
So it's safe to speculate at a time like this, or maybe speculate is actually even a wrong word. Is it safe to assume that the former president's security detail is removed whilst he is in prison?
What I can say is that we are now responsible for safe custody for him. So correctional services will have to say how is he kept in a correctional facility. That's one. Are his needs being attended to? We'll have to respond to that. And if perhaps there are any other measures or any other things which will then emerge out of that, we'll have to act on that as well.
Yeah. Then, Mr. Nxumalo, there is the element about when the former president could possibly be eligible for early release. Are you able to tell us what processes need to take place before that can even be considered? The understanding is that the Constitutional Court has said 15 months, and that 15 months is not suspended.
Okay. How it would work is that Section 73 of Correctional Services Act governs the different regimes for parole. It will then state that if you are sentenced to life after October 2004, you need to serve at least 25 years before you are considered for parole placement. But if you serve a determined sentence, you need to serve the minimum, which is almost half. If you are then sentenced for 24 months or below, you need to serve at least a quarter of that sentence. But what we need to highlight is that parole is not a right, but a privilege that you need to earn. So I think we need to be clear on that, because in most cases people think that once you serve the minimum required time, you are then out. No, that's not how it works. And you still have to serve the remainder of that sentence. The only difference is that you are now in the community, hence then the issue of parole conditions.
Final question, Mr. Nxumalo. Does the Ministry of Correctional Services, the Department of Correctional Services, and specifically here, I'll talk about the role of the Minister and his Director General, do they play any role in a presidential pardon, or is that the sole decision of the President?
It's a decision of the President. He may consult whatever, but then I think the Constitution is very clear that it's a decision of the President. But what is of note is that the country has never pardoned anyone ever since 1994.
Singabakho Nxumalo, thank you very much for that clarity. And as we've been saying as well, the Correctional Services Minister expected to brief today to flesh out more detail around the processing, specifically of the former president now, who is an inmate. We're going to continue with the reaction. Let's take a short breather.